Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. I'm Amanda. I'm autistic. I have ADHD. I have a memory disorder called SDAM. That stands for Severely Deficient Autobiographical Memory, and I have total aphantasia, which means that I don't experience any of the senses like visualizing in my mind. I have videos on all of these, so make sure you check out the playlists. And this is a reminder that this is not a medical channel, but more of a vlog of my late diagnosis of having autism and ADHD. So I haven't done an Amanda's Rambles. Oh my God. I just put this like mwah, lip goop on my face and my hair keeps sticking to it. Normally I'd restart the video, but y'all know I don't really like to do that. So this is what it is like interacting with an unmasked autistic ADHD person, and we're keeping it real. So what I was saying, because sometimes I can remember my tangents, is that I haven't done an Amanda's Rambles video, and sometimes it could really be fun because you never know where my brain is going to take you. It's funny. So I like to do a lot of TikToks too. When TikTok first came out, I was so anti-TikTok. I wanted people to do long format videos only. I thought short videos, like how can anybody get anything across in, 1 to 3 minutes? Now, I don't really do very many YouTube shorts because 1 minute is just insanely too short for me to talk in. But I usually fill up my TikToks with the 3-minute time limit, and I'm kind of glad they didn't give me the 10-minute one, because then all my TikToks would probably be 10 minutes. But it's funny because I think it was yesterday or the day before, I wanted to make some TikToks. Like I was like, ooh, I want to make a TikTok, and nothing. Like I felt like my brain was empty. Like, where are all my thoughts today? I had nothing to share. It's very weird because it's happened to me before. But then like today, I think I've already like put up 4 or 5 TikToks. It just like, I feel like I have so much to talk about. And so that's also why I'm like, I'm just going to turn on and hit record, and just because apparently I need to process today. I'm an auditory processor. Part of that is due to my aphantasia. I'm kind of still exploring whether or not I have an inner monologue. That's a lot of talks in the aphantasia world, whether or not people have inner monologues, because I don't have sound in my head. Like I don't hear music playing. I don't hear my thoughts. I have thoughts, but there's no sound quality to them. It doesn't sound like my voice in my head. It doesn't sound like anybody else's voice. You know how like if somebody has a meme and it's like, oh, I bet you read that in like name famous actor's voice. I can't do that. I can only hear things in my environment that are actually currently going on. So whether or not so this pause was just because another tangent that my brain just tried to take me on, but I side railed it. I'm like, oh, hold on to that thought, finish this thought, then go back. I'm having it very ADHD today. So a lot of my videos are very focused on autism. I feel like I have more autism than ADHD, but today is an ADHD brain kind of day. So I hope that explains a lot. Okay. Ooh, tangent. I talked too long. I lost my tangent. See, this is recorded, so I could pause it and rewind it and see what I was talking about. Okay. I'm going to have to do that because I lost my tangent. Guys, I'll be right back. Okay, that's so funny. So I was talking about inner monologue and whether or not do I have one or not. So yeah, I don't know. Because from what people describe their inner monologue is like, it's constantly talking to them and telling them, okay, go do this, do that. And I don't feel like that's the inner experience that I have. Like when I'm thinking about what I want to do next, it doesn't seem like quite a discussion. It's just like, okay, I now I don't know. It's really, I don't know how to describe it. Like, right now I am filming this video, but after that, it's like I just take a moment and decide what I'm going to do next. It's not really something like a voice driving me to do things, and I don't have conversations with myself in my head. Now, I will occasionally do the autistic thing where I'm scripting inside my head. So if I'm like going to a new doctor or something, I might like try to script out the conversation. There has been the occasion where I've had a conversation that I knew I needed to have with a friend that was more not confrontational, but just more like I really wanted to make a specific point to a friend. So I might script that out, but I still feel that's different than like a normal monologue. My pug is right here snoring. I don't know if that's picking up on the microphone. He is such a loud little snorer. Hold on, I gotta show him to you. Of course, he gets quiet when the camera's on him. This will give me a good chance to actually give a little bit of context about what's going on in my room. I am still recovering from my foot surgery that happened 2 months ago. I have a video that actually didn't get very many views talking about how often autistic people take longer to recover from different procedures than others. And I never did follow up with my psychologist. I actually asked him, I sent him an email and I said, is there any science behind this? Because this was just like a theory I had. And he actually said that there has been reports done and he was going to send me some research data, but he forgot to and I never followed up. But yeah, this foot healing has gone on a lot longer than what the doctor thought it would. And I talk more about that in the video about why, but also I think because autistic people have a low sense of proprioception, which is like where our bodies are in space. I have fallen several times now, which has set that's one reason why it set this particular procedure back. But yes, it is so weird how my brain is ADHD today. Like I was saying, because I'm ADHD, which is what people who are autistic and ADHD are called, most of the time I feel like my autistic traits are stronger in me. I recognized the autism when I started doing research way faster than I identified with being ADHD. As I was doing more and more research before I went in for my formal evaluation, I was like, yes, I am definitely autistic. I really felt I really felt like the doctor was going to validate the autism. And then at the end there, I started to suspect I might also be autistic. I might also be ADHD. But I wasn't as sure because some of my ADHD traits just don't seem as prevalent in me than they do other people with ADHD. But there are days like today where I'm feeling the ADHD traits stronger than the autistic traits. Like the whole tangent thing, not being able to focus on anything for any length of time, wanting to talk a lot faster than I normally do. It's like my brain is processing faster. Now, I have no idea what would cause me to wake up feeling more one than the other. That is something that's really fascinating to me, but it happens all the time. And also, one of the things that happened this morning is the ADHD hyper fixation or hyper focus really kicked in, and I have the burning desire, which this is a magical trait that happens every once in a while in an ADHD person's life, where oftentimes we are just like absolute crap at doing household tasks and things like that, but when we get a hyper focus, we can organize a room like nobody else's business. And this morning I was like, I want to organize and clean out and just redo my entire laundry room. The only problem with that is that my foot, being in this heavy giant foot thing, it's not really feasible for me to be doing that because my laundry room's upstairs. That would require me going up and down. I'm still on limited mobility. So not being able to have a place to focus that energy of like actually wanting to organize my laundry room is making me like crazy. But anyway, so when I'm feeling more of the ADHD traits, it feels more chaotic in my head. When I'm feeling more autistic, it feels more slow, procedural, methodical, that kind of thing. It's interesting. But one thing I did kind of want to talk about in this video today was I've been thinking a lot about hold on, I gotta listen to how it's said.
Hierarchical.
That word is so hard to say.
Hierarchical.
Hierarchical. I'm gonna try one more time, guys.
Hierarchical.
Relationships. I had that pulled up on Google because that word is so hard for me to say. But I was thinking about that and how autistic people really struggle with understanding hierarchical relationships. And this gets us in a lot of trouble in workplaces. Now, as y'all know, I have not really held a very consistent job. This is very common for a lot of autistic people. A lot of autistic people struggle with holding a job over many years because we'll reach burnout and then have to quit and then apply for a new job. Some of us are lucky to find a job that works out perfectly for our needs. Some people just get lucky to find a job and then mask and push through beyond their comfort level, and they come home exhausted every day. Obviously there's a huge spectrum of what autistic people can do in the workforce. But I didn't work as a teenager other than like babysitting jobs. And then when I was like an older teen, like almost adult, I did work at a summer camp, which was really great because it was a short period of time. It was very active. And then I did bounce around and have like some odd jobs here and there before I had kids and then became a stay-at-home mom. But I was thinking back today that all the times that I did have a job, I did struggle with this whole thing of like knowing what your level was. And I wasn't diagnosed autistic at that point, so I had no idea where this was coming from. But for instance, when I was a camp counselor, I was like a lowly camp counselor, and then you had like the directors, and then you had the camp director. So you had your I was always with the horses, so I was a horse counselor, but then we had the horse director who would be above that, and then the assistant camp director, and then the camp director. But I would talk to everybody like they were all the same. So if I had a problem at the barn, I was supposed to go to the riding director. But if I was just happened to be like in the lodge eating lunch and the camp director came by and we had camp names, my camp name was Panda, and she'd be like, "Hey Panda, how's it going?" Because, friendly. And I had this problem that was on the top of my brain, I might just mention it. And I didn't know that was like not the procedure. Like, you are not supposed to jump over the writing director's head to go talk to the camp director. That looks bad to the writing director. They feel like you've gone over them. I had no idea. I was just chatting. Like, I had this issue. She was there. She was also somebody who could fix it. I just said it. And then I caused drama without realizing that I was doing it, because I was not trying to make the writing director look bad. I was just like, oh, problem. Let's find the fastest way to solve it. Normally I'm drinking my tea through these, but I'm trying to drink my water today, and I haven't got very far. Another place that I worked, which I'm trying to think if I actually mentioned this in my last video, was at a daycare. I'm pausing because I know I talked about this on one of my accounts, but I don't know if it was a TikTok or if it was on this channel. But anyway, so I worked at this daycare for one summer. Oh, it was like PDA thing. It was, I think, the last time I talked about it. It was supposed to be a summer job, but they fell in love with me so much they wanted to extend my contract, but then that felt like a demand. So autistic is pathological demand avoidance, or sometimes called persistent drive for autonomy. And once they wanted me to work full time, I was like, no, that's like way too much. And so I ended up quitting. Again, if I had known it was autism, understood where that was coming from, maybe I could have approached it differently. But whatever, wasn't diagnosed. But again, this was a really unusual job because I was a substitute daycare teacher. And so anytime somebody was sick or had a vacation because it was summer, I would fill in for that classroom. So I went from classroom to classroom. But these daycare owners also owned a dude ranch that was an hour outside the city. And they had summer classes with the YMCA. So the YMCA would come in as a day field trip, and we would give kids horseback riding lessons. But they needed another adult, basically, who knew about horses. So when I applied to work at their daycare and they saw my resume that I was a horseback instructor, at that point I don't think I'd become director, because I did actually work one summer as riding director, but I don't remember if that was before or after the daycare. Again, memory disorder. I'd have to really put some energy into thinking about that. But regardless, at that point, I did have a lot of horseback riding experience. So they were like, yes, we want to hire you as a substitute daycare teacher. And would you be interested on some weeks, instead of coming into the daycare, driving an hour out to our dude ranch and working for the week with horses? And I was like, yes, that sounds lovely. So I had a very unique position at that daycare, but I don't really, again, memory, I don't really remember much about my coworkers or anything like that, but I do know that they often treated me very differently. One, again, undiagnosed autistic, we often get treated differently without understanding why. But another reason is because they all felt like I was buddy with the boss, because I spent time with her in that more professional situation of the daycare, like it just felt more professional than the dude ranch. And I just got to know her. And again, because I don't think of people as a boss, that means more important, even though I was much younger than her, this kinds of thing. People are just people to me. And so I just talked to her like I would any other human being. But then when that got back to the daycare, I still approached her in that same way. And she didn't really treat me much different at the daycare either. But other people thought that she gave me special treatment. And of course, I'm only seeing all this in hindsight, because it's like, oh, that answers some questions about things and how things went down. So I would love to hear from y'all in the comments, because you all sharing your experiences about some of the topics that I bring up really help each other, but and me too. I love reading. I read like every single one of your comments. Where have you run into this? And outside, like in professional situations, but also it happens in social situations too. It happens in the real world. Anyway, I'm going to wrap up this video. Okay, I'm gonna add one more funny thing. I always do that. I'm gonna wrap up this video. Let me say one more thing. That's just how my brain works. It's like, okay, no, we're not gonna go on another tangent. Okay, so there used to be a quote. I did not make this up. I read it somewhere and I thought it was absolutely hilarious. And so I shared it one time. This was, again, many years before I knew I was like diagnosed. And the quote is, even the president poops with her pants down. And I loved it because it really, it's like, yes, the president is no more important than any other human being on this planet. The president just has more responsibilities. That's like, they just have more responsibilities than, you know, somebody else. And they are human. And we all, you know, sit on the toilet with our pants down. Well, it was funny because on my Instagram, again, this was several years ago, I was posting mostly food content at that time, but I would also post things about my kids. It wasn't really a niched account at that point. And every once in a while, I would post some funny quote that I found. I posted that quote because I thought it was hilarious, and I got so many unfollows. And at the time, I thought they were unfollowing me because I was talking about poo. I'm like, why? Why are people? No, people were unfollowing me because they thought I was making a political statement about the president. But I had so many unfollowers, and it was because people thought I was making a political statement just because I mentioned the word president. But autistic brains just don't think that way sometimes. We don't put these things together. I wasn't trying to make some political statement. I was just like, I thought it was funny. The president is no more important as a human than anybody else. They just have a lot more responsibilities. Anyway, oh gosh. I am going to end this video right here. Hopefully it sees the light of day. Sometimes I don't even know what I'm thinking. I love you guys.